Jackson Wang's ascendant falls in Aquarius, a sign known for its individuality, innovation, and emotional detachment. But Jackson's version of Aquarius is far more intricate because its ruler, Saturn, is placed in Pisces in the first house, right alongside Mercury and Mars. When the chart ruler sits in the first house, especially when it's Saturn, the native often carries a strong sense of self-responsibility. He takes himself, his identity, and his path very seriously. Saturn in Pisces is especially telling. This is not the cold, rigid Saturn we often imagine. Pisces is a water sign, fluid, emotional, spiritual, and boundless. When Saturn is here, it reveals a person who takes their dreams, imagination, and sensitivity seriously. In Jackson's case, these aren't just passing feelings or creative whims, they are core to his identity. Yet because Saturn is the planet of control, fear, and discipline, there is also a tendency to regulate, suppress, or overmanage these parts of himself. His sensitivity feels heavy. His intuition may feel like a burden. His capacity for compassion doesn't always come freely. It's something he wrestles with, tries to make sense of, or feels he must earn. In this sense, the area of life that requires the most hard work and maturity is his inner world, his spirituality, self-acceptance, and emotional openness. But this spirituality isn't about belief systems or institutions outside of himself. For Jackson, spirituality is the ability to accept his own feelings, to show empathy to others, to see goodness where others see chaos, and to continually choose compassion over cynicism. These aren't light or effortless things for him, they feel like responsibilities, as if he's been tasked with carrying the weight of emotional consciousness. And this internal gravity becomes even heavier with Mercury, the planet of mind, thought, and speech, conjunct Saturn in the first house. Mercury in Pisces doesn't function in a straightforward, logical manner. It absorbs information intuitively, symbolically, emotionally. Jackson processes ideas like art, in layers and textures rather than steps. His communication may not always be linear or traditionally rational, but it's deeply expressive and evocative. Yet Mercury here is besieged, caught between Saturn and Mars, the two traditional malefics. This setup indicates immense pressure on the mind and voice. Saturn suppresses, makes cautious, self-critical. Mars inflames, pushes, and agitates. His thoughts and speech may be weighed down by doubt, fear of being misunderstood, or frustration at not being able to say things the way he feels them. There may be times when he wants to speak from the heart but censors himself, or when he tries to stay composed but lashes out due to bottled-up irritation. Mars in Pisces gives him a sensitive, soulful masculinity. It's an energy that's intuitive, emotionally driven, and capable of great tenderness. But Mars also wants to act, to pursue, to assert. In Pisces, and especially under Saturn's influence, it struggles to do so directly. It hesitates, retreats, or gets tangled in confusion. He might want to comfort someone, say, "I love you," or be physically present, but second guesses whether it's appropriate, whether it's too much, or whether he'll be rejected. So he holds back. And when that gesture isn't received or mirrored, he may feel hurt, not realizing he never actually voiced it in the first place. This can lead to projection, believing others don't see or appreciate his sensitivity, when he himself is the one suppressing it. He may give silently, hoping others will notice, but feel disappointed when they don't. He may say, "Why can't they see how much I care?" without realizing his actions and expressions were filtered through caution, control, or fear. Jupiter in the ninth house offers an important lifeline here. It trines the planets in his first house, providing an outlet, a way for all this internal heaviness to move outward into growth. Jupiter rules higher education, philosophy, spiritual exploration, travel, and meaning-making. For Jackson, this suggests that personal development and healing come through learning, teaching, traveling, and engaging with ideas that expand his worldview. Even though Jupiter is retrograde, it still acts as a release valve for the emotional and mental pressure, providing wisdom, insight, and opportunities for expansion, albeit often through setbacks, detours, or internal processing first. The internal tension in his chart is further complicated by his Sun in Aries opposite Moon in Libra. The Sun in Aries is bold, self-assertive, and thrives on independence. It energizes him to take charge, lead, and make things happen. His Moon in Libra, however, seeks harmony, connection, and emotional balance, especially in relationships. This opposition plays out as an ongoing tug-of-war between self and other, between the need to express oneself freely and the desire to keep peace and be fair. When he prioritizes his independence, he may feel emotionally alone or disconnected. When he leans too much into pleasing others, his ego and drive may feel stifled. It's crucial to understand that Jackson isn't meant to choose one side over the other. He is meant to hold both, the leader and the lover, the warrior and the healer. His Pisces and Libra placements show his emotional and relational capacities, while Aries, Mars, and Saturn reflect his ability to take action, endure pressure, and assert himself. These seemingly opposing forces are actually complementary when integrated. Adding to this, his chart shows a strong Eastern Hemisphere emphasis. Most planets lie on the left side of the chart. This suggests that Jackson is inherently self-directed. He tends to rely on his own instincts, carve his own path, and make decisions based on personal drive. However, the Sun, which rules his seventh house of partnerships in Leo, indicates that his sense of identity is deeply shaped by his experiences with others. His Libra moon also reinforces the importance of emotional connection, fairness, and mirroring through relationships. There's a paradox here. While he is self-driven, he is also emotionally responsive to others and affected by the state of his relationships. His moon in the 8th house adds another layer of emotional depth. The 8th house is associated with hidden emotions, transformation, intimacy, and the psychological underworld. With the moon here, Jackson's emotional world is not readily visible to others or even to himself. He feels things deeply, but doesn't always understand or express those feelings directly. This placement speaks to an emotional life shaped by themes like loss, power dynamics, secrecy, or emotional merging. He may be drawn to explore the darker aspects of love, fear, and vulnerability, but this also means he needs time and space to process his emotions, as they often reside beneath the surface and emerge slowly through reflection or catharsis. His midheaven in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, points to a public life that involves global influence, expansion, and cultural exchange. Pluto on the midheaven intensifies his public image, giving him a powerful presence and drive to transform himself and others. The sextile from Pluto to Uranus shows a dynamic and rebellious spirit behind his career. He's someone who's not afraid to innovate or challenge norms to rise. Jupiter retrograde in the 9th suggests that although his path to success may be filled with detours or inner doubts, it ultimately leads him to a place of meaningful impact. Turning to love and relationships, we see his Venus in Aries. Venus, the planet of love and attraction, is in a sign that isn't naturally harmonious, as it's Mars-ruled, impulsive, and quick to ignite. This gives him a passionate, energetic approach to romance. He's attracted to relationships that are exciting, stimulating, and a bit competitive. But this fiery Venus can also burn out quickly, losing interest when the thrill fades or struggling with long-term emotional patience. Venus forms an exact square to Neptune and Uranus, creating idealism, disillusionment, and instability in love. With Neptune, there's a tendency to romanticize, to fall in love with an image or idea, and to yearn for a love that transcends the ordinary. But the square makes it hard to ground that ideal into reality. It can lead to disappointment when real relationships don't live up to the dream. The Uranus square adds unpredictability, emotional highs and lows, sudden breakups, or an internal fear of losing freedom in relationships. Together, these aspects reflect a desire for deep, meaningful love that often feels just out of reach. Still, this longing fuels his creativity and emotional evolution. It pushes him to understand love in a broader, more spiritual sense, to seek self-love, compassion, and connection beyond the purely romantic. In summary, Jackson Wang's chart reveals a deeply layered and emotionally complex individual. He is not simply confident or sensitive, he is both. Not just a leader or a healer, but a fusion of the two. His inner life is filled with tension, responsibility, and imagination. He feels the weight of his emotions, his ideals, and his thoughts. And while this burden is real, it is also what fuels his art, his compassion, and his constant desire to grow. His journey is one of integrating these contrasting forces into something beautiful and whole, a self that is strong, soft, disciplined, intuitive, and unapologetically human.